You're never going to know if you hit the bullseye. You're never going to know if you miss it. And if you just stand there, all you're going to do is just strain, holding onto this arrow, trying to figure out what to do. So why live your life in this resistance and in this strain when you can point in a direction and go, I hated that. I did not enjoy that. That did not maximize my skills and make me light up and use my gift. Let's try something else. And you go in that different direction.
Join me, Jeremy Swick, on Into the Unknown, a podcast that delves into the personal journeys, stories, and experiences of individuals across diverse professions. As a historian by trade, I firmly believe that our personal histories shape our present and offer valuable insights into our paths ahead. With that being said, let's get into it. On this episode of Into the Unknown, I am joined with a very special guest, Aaron Smalls. How you doing today, Aaron?
I'm doing really well, man. I'm loving your collection that you've got going on in the background there, and I'm excited to be a part of the show. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Yes, I have quite a few things, and I actually see a few things back behind you as well.
I gotta have all the things that kind of give a little bit of representation of who I am, where I came from. I used to ride motorcycles. Of course, that you're killing me, Smalls. I travel a lot, so the globe's there. DJing and playing the saxophone, that's all in there. Good old duo from Duolingo. I started learning French about 5 years ago, and that's been working out real well. I do a lot of stuff with the NFL, so I've got my Eagles and my Chiefs hats from Super Bowl last year. So all the different things that kind of represent a little bit about who I am and what I'm doing.
It's one of those things I love, Aaron, because I think a lot of times, at least years prior, you always were supposed to have kind of your background a little bit monotone, nothing too crazy. And the more and more I've started doing stuff on my own, I'm like, you never know what kind of conversation that's going to spark. Like for me, example, I'm a historian by trade. I love the idea of a globe because I think the world would be so much better if we actually got to travel a little bit more and see other cultures and other experiences.
I literally just had a post about that the other day, talking about how when we travel, we get to experience this world of culture and diversity, and that's when we really get to start learning what's happening in the world. So many times, people, especially here in the U.S., we're so just kind of like landlocked into what we are. So it's just who we are, what we know. We don't really get the news or other languages from other countries. Whereas if you lived in Europe, you could be in France and you could jump over to Germany, you could jump over to London. Like you get to experience all these different cultures and diversity. And that's really where we tap into these perspectives and we get to learn and really understand people. So yeah, man, the globe and traveling is a huge thing for me.
And we'll get a little bit more into your story, but I always like to kick off the show and talk the importance of networking. How are we connected?
That's a great question, man. She was on your show a little while back, Olivia Atkin. Uh, Great person there. She got me connected with your show, and I know that she was on your show before, and she was like, "You got to meet Sumo." So that's definitely uh, what I had to do. You know, I told you that I'd leave out that baby oil wrestling thing that we had going on a while back. I told you I'd leave that out, so I won't talk about that at all, or why your nickname is Sumo. We won't get into that. We'll just stick to the Olivia Atkins story.
I love it. I love it, man. Yeah, Olivia's amazing. She's just a joy to talk to, and it's one of those things where she always talks and sends me people that one mesh with the show. So there's never been one of those, oh well, I can't air this because it was just so uncomfortable for both of us. I think it's one of those things that she does an amazing job in connecting that, but I also think it gives that extra layer of networking where when Olivia mentioned it, it was, oh yeah, of course, I would love to have Aaron on the show, and it's just one of those things. I think networking and kind of that connection goes a long way.
It absolutely does. I mean, that's how a lot of things used to be and should be, is that networking, that word of mouth, you being able to put people up and raise them up right along with you, going, hey, this network is a great network. Let's put everybody together and let's all rise together. So it's a great thing. Yeah.
I think you get to a point in your career, at least I have, you can kind of sniff out the imposters pretty quickly, and it's one of those things. Okay, maybe they're on the show, but then you kind of get their ulterior motives, or just maybe they don't completely align. And it's one of those things, and that's okay. I appreciate your time, but I just really appreciate any time Olivia, reaches out and sends me someone.
Gotta love that authenticity. It always rains through. It always rains through.
So, Aaron, I want to know a little bit more about you. That comic book issue number one, that origin story. Who's Aaron Smalls?
The origin story, taking it back. Uh, well, I kicked things off. I'm originally from the Virgin Islands, from St. Thomas. For people that don't know, St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix, they're all three of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Everything else is British or its own country. But fast forward from there, I'm going to school in Orlando at UCF. Thought I was going to be an engineer because my dad, my grandfather, they were all in like electrical and that kind of stuff. So I thought that's where my path was going to take me. So I ended up going to the University of Central Florida to study mechanical engineering. And then there was a buddy of mine that was older guy in my fraternity. He'd already graduated, but he still came back and visited. But he grew up in Orlando, so he stage managed for Universal and Disney and a lot of those theme parks and those TV shows that were happening down there. And he was like, "Hey, man, I know you're going to school for engineering, but you've got this energy. It's the right energy. And Nickelodeon is kicking off these new shows. You should come audition for them." And I was like, I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm going to go do that. Like, this is what I'm doing. I'm here at school for this. I got scholarships. I got grants for this right here. I don't know about that stuff. And he's like, just come audition for it. You got the right energy. I won't influence it. I won't say that I know you. If you like it, you like it. If you get it, you get it. And I was like, all right, why not? So I went out there, I auditioned, and I ended up getting the part. And the part was that of a show assistant. It was called Team Nick. So you had one host for the show, and you had two show assistants kind of on each side for each one of the teams. And pretty much what we were doing in the very beginning is we were making pie and slime and moving around these giant cartoon Nickelodeon props, right? And so it changed how I was thinking about things because I was like, this is crazy. I'm getting paid how much money to just play around and have fun and be a kid. And so that was kind of the impetus for what happened there. And I think as we go on our path, the universe kind of tests us and pushes us and makes sure of us wanting to do something because just like the show is called Into the Unknown, we don't always know where we're going or what we're doing. We kind of have an idea of it, but we never really know. So there were a number of factors there where I think the universe was like, let me make sure that this is what you want to do. And yeah, so first was that engineering challenge. And then I made that jump over to the entertainment Nickelodeon side of things. And then a little bit later on in school, there was a specialty professional selling program that only 36 students got invited into. And one of my teachers said, "Hey, you've got this amazing gift. I think you'd be phenomenal in this program. Would you want to be a part of it?" And I was like, I don't know. And I went through the entire interview process for it. And it came down to that last spot. And they wanted to offer it to me, but they wanted to make sure that I wanted to be in it. And at the same time, I had this opportunity to be a part of an internship with the Wright Entertainment Group, Johnny Wright. And that organization, they managed NSYNC, Jonas Brothers, Sierra, Britney Spears, a lot of those big hitters back in the day. I know you're a sports guy, football guy. Jesse James Decker.
Oh yeah.
Uh, she was one of the first people that I worked with at Wright Entertainment Group. So that was really cool. So that was another test if I wanted to go this sales route or if I wanted to go this music entertainment route. And sure enough, I went to that internship. So that kind of pushed everything completely away from engineering into this world of entertainment that I didn't really know. My extent of entertainment was uh, as a kid impersonating Jim Carrey and Ace Ventura and messing with my grandma and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so that kind of shot me into the trajectory of the entertainment world. You know, I was kind of betrothed to it before I even knew that that's the world that I was going to be a part of. And then from there, the ball just kept rolling.
So, question for you, Aaron. You know that as you mentioned, you know your father, your grandfather were all involved in some kind of electrical space. You go to school for that. What was that experience like? Was there any kind of pushback or questions? Because it's one thing to, go to school for electrical engineering. It's another thing to, hey, I'm actually making slime a lot and I'm, hanging out with the kids and, running around props. And I know sometimes, especially with parents, they want what's best for you. And I think sometimes they don't really understand. So either they're supportive or very inquisitive about what you're up to.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I ended up switching to getting a degree in marketing. And even to this day, my mom is still like, "You sure you don't want to use that degree in marketing?" Um, she said that way in the beginning, but she's always been behind me and supported me in that. And it's just one of those things that your parents do want what's best for you. But just like I was talking about with the universe, they're going to test you and push you and make sure that that's what you want. My mom was always really great about that. I wanted her to play the saxophone when I was younger. And she was like, "I'm not buying you an expensive saxophone. I will buy you this plastic toy saxophone. And if you practice on that and show me the dedication, then we'll figure it out." But that's one of those things where it's like the universe and my mom, my parents, they supported it. So long as I was doing what I loved and I was enjoying it and I was able to make a living and I was making other people happy and I wasn't doing wrong by anybody, they absolutely supported it.
Aaron, that's amazing. I'm kind of in a similar position with my folks, and it's just really cool, and I think it's cool for them to, honestly, I think behind closed doors or behind with friends, brag about your kid a little bit, but it was always cool during those trials and tribulations, and things kind of seem a little crazy, and they don't always understand what you're doing, but it's really cool when you have a support system like that.
Absolutely. It's a big part of it. Big part of it.
So you mentioned you kind of start the ball rolling with entertainment. What happens next after school?
Yeah, so I finished school. There, I'm working at Nickelodeon. I'm the show host, but I think that's where my engineering mindset really kicks in. I love knowing how things work. So in that process, I would learn the technical side of it. The guys that were doing the music and the audio, the lighting for the shows, I would really lock in on the host and watch what they were doing, their body language, how they were postured, uh, how they were getting the crowd to do different things, and I just gravitated to it. And it was, again, the universe speaking to me. There was a day that we did about 4 live shows in the evening, and they were trying to get one of the hosts to come in, and they couldn't find a host to come in, so they were going to end up downing about 4 shows. This is like 200 people plus per show. And I said to them, "Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't disappoint all these people that have paid all this money to come here and be a part of this and enjoy it. Don't down those shows. I know it. I know the show inside and out. Let me host the show." And they said, I don't know. Like, we haven't officially trained you on this. We don't know that we can stake that." And I go, "Put me through rehearsals throughout the day. Let's test it out. Bring people in. We'll run a show. I'll show you that I can do it." And sure enough, that's what we did. And at the end of the night, man, knocked him out of the park. Absolutely fantastic. Um, so fast forward a little bit beyond that, I say to them, "So does that mean I'm going to get to be trained officially as a host?" And they said no. And I couldn't understand why they said no. And one of my mentors, my really good buddies, Ruben Irvin, he's one of the top audience warm up hosts in LA, around the country. He does a lot of work with Steve Harvey. Um, I asked him, I was like, "Ruben, what's the deal? Like, I knocked this out of the park. Why the resistance? Why the no? Why the rejection on this?" And they said, "You're so good at this show assistant side that they want to keep you in that role." But I didn't let that happen. I'm one of those people where resiliency is, I've learned to adapt to it and let it push me instead of let it make me decline and hit that spiral. So I took a moment, I thought about it, and I was like, next rehearsal, I'll talk to the director, I'll show him, like, I'll go through. And so that's when I learned to like really host these shows, and I got the opportunity. So that's when it really took off with hosting. And then I started to do corporate things and other MC style work. And that's where a DJ company reached out to me. Once again, out of nowhere, a DJ company reaches out to me and they're like, "Hey man, we got a lot of DJs, but they're kind of shaky on the microphone, and you got the mic thing down." I mean, I wear it. That's why I have a microphone on my chain there, because it's been that impetus, that thing that's like supported me for so long. But yeah, so I started working with this DJ company, and they then start to teach me the DJ side of it. So here I am now, this engineering student that became this host MC that's now working with DJs and starting to DJ. And I'm like, this is crazy where this world is taking me. And not long after that, there was another buddy Same thing, energetically was like, have you ever thought about acting? And I was like, what is happening? No, I've not thought about doing that. And sure enough, I went through the classes and the courses, and met some really great people. And so those three things were just my tripod for the longest time. And those are things that I've been doing ever since.
That's incredible, and it's so funny you mentioned how the universe, whatever you want to call it, starts to open up doors, and you're like, I didn't even know this was a door. I didn't even know this was possible. And
Yeah.
you look back a couple weeks, months, years later, you're like, wow, I actually did that.
Yeah. It's an incredible thing, especially if you're open to it and you embrace it and you really step through that door. It's one of those things you talked about networking in the beginning. You can network with as many people as you want and they can open these doors for you, but it's up to you as an individual, up to you as a person to actually take that risk and take that step through those doors to be able to figure things out. But we have to be open to it. We got to listen and hear what the universe has given us, hear what our networks are showing us. So it's really an incredible thing.
Aaron, I appreciate you mentioned listen to it, because I think sometimes, in the best way possible, especially when you get to a certain level of success, you almost become overwhelmed with opportunity, which then kind of almost turns to noise sometimes. And sometimes you kind of just got to figure out, okay, what is my objective here? Is it me just to experience something brand new, or in your case, when you were already a DJ, you were already an entertainer, and you happen to know a bit about the saxophone? So it was one of those things where I think a lot of times it's piecing those together as those opportunities come about.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened as the journey continued. Is I pieced all those things together. Um, so many times people ask that question, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" And there's always that there's always that like sigh and deep breath, and it's like, "Well, I do this and I do this and I do this." So talking to them about hosting and acting and DJing, they generally would gravitate towards one of those things, either towards the music and the DJ side of it or the acting side. Oh, what have you been in? Um, but the hosting side didn't typically get that same recognition or that excitement from them. And I wanted to be able to create a path for hosts. I wanted to really dive into that. And I wanted to find a through line for all those things. And that's where one day it kind of came to me. The through line is energy and how energy plays out with all of these different things, from the music to talking on a microphone, to reacting with your scene partner. It's all energetics in there. So I was like, okay, now I don't have to tell people, oh, I do this and I do this and I do this. I created an umbrella for it, which is Charismatic Advantage. The program that I created, I had it trademarked, which if you're ever going to get something trademarked, copywritten, uh, start the process now, because it is a long process uh, for that. But yeah, I went through and I ended up creating and getting the trademark for Charismatic Advantage, the art of social energy, which is now the umbrella for everything that I do. And it really talks about that energetic through line. And that's a lot of where I've been capitalizing and teaching people and coaching people and really growing. And that is kind of the path that winded and turned that led me to Olivia, that then led me right here to you.
And I appreciate that. I think it's so important, because I had to laugh when you mentioned the "what do you do" question. I sighed myself, because it's you kind of decide, and of course there's correct moments for everything. If I'm just in a short passing by, it might be something a little bit more tame. But then when you start mention history, worked with the Pro Football Hall of Fame, College Hall, you do all this, and I'm a podcast host. I produce podcasts.
Yep.
It kind of eventually. If you mention sports, 9 times out of 10, that's what people end up gravitating toward, or history, one of the two. And it's funny you mentioned that, just because I completely feel that when people are very curious about what you do, because I think that's a common social circle kind of question when you're getting to know people. And it's just one of those interesting things that I think not everyone experiences, but those who do definitely can feel that sigh sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely can.
So you make a decision not really knowing the outcome. You can go east, you can go west. You make a decision, just go for it.
Yeah, I think that has to happen a lot of the time, where you have to make a decision. If you just stay there, you're never going to know to the east, what's to the west, what's through that door, unless you make a decision. You can always course correct, redirect, change where you're going. But unless you pull that arrow and you point it and you let it go, you're never going to know the results. You're never going to know if you hit the bullseye. You're never going to know if you miss it. And if you just stand there, all you're going to do is just strain, holding onto this arrow, trying to figure out what to do. So why live your life in this resistance and in this strain when you can point in a direction and go, I hated that. I did not enjoy that. That did not maximize my skills and make me light up and use my gift. Let's try something else. And you go in that different direction. So in a moment like that, I think we talked about some of the stuff from school and from university and whatnot. But I think one of those big decisions where that really happened was my jump to New York, because I went from Florida for school. Then I went to Atlanta for the film TV scene and really enjoyed that. But then there was an opportunity to go to New York, and it terrified me. It absolutely terrified me, because as an entertainer, I was making good money, but I didn't know that I was making New York money. Right. So that was something that was absolutely terrifying to me, of how am I going to make a living there? How am I going to be able to network with people there and meet new people? Because I didn't really know anyone there. But I took that leap. I made that jump, and I got here, and my entire world opened up. It really changed, and everything leveled up. I was surrounded by this energy of New York City that even during COVID, when it was empty here, you could still feel that energy radiating off of the buildings. And it's one of those cities that if you're open to it, it will push you and it will make you a better version of yourself. It will sharpen you and make that instrument even better, because New York, LA, Chicago, some of those markets, it's some of the best talent that are there. And you can be a person that goes, I'm going to go to a different market where there's not as many big talent, but that's not going to help refine you and sharpen you and redefine you. So being in New York, I've had some incredible opportunities. And even now, I've had the opportunity to be the audience warm-up host for the Kelly Clarkson Show at 30 Rock. And there's moments where I just stand there in the empty studio, just taking breaths and grounding myself in the fact that I get to be a performer at 30 Rock, where SNL is, where Jimmy Fallon is, where Kelly Clarkson is. And I get to be one of those people that's a talent and performing there. So just making that leap to New York City into the unknown, to tap into the name of your show again, has just been an absolutely incredible experience for me.
I can't even imagine. It's one of those things I always tell people, encourage people. If you have the opportunity to move and try something new, do it. You won't regret it. Let's say it's the worst experience of your life. At least it was an experience, and you'll never have that head scratching. What if I would have done that? And I think
Yeah.
it's so commendable to you to literally pick up, because I used to live in Atlanta. I know the scene there for acting is really really popping, and to go there and challenge yourself and move to New York is just I think a testament to your journey so far.
I appreciate you recognize that. It's great to hear that. And it really does hit me as a compliment. So thank you for saying that.
Absolutely. Title of the podcast, In the Unknown, we talked about a little bit, but what are you working on? What do you have going on? And where can people find you on social media and learn more about what you do?
Yeah, I love that. That's into the unknown. I feel like it's always into the unknown. But the great aspect of that, some of the things that I'm working on right now, I just finished working on FIFA Club World Cup. So looking into the future of that. FIFA World Cup is coming up here, so I'll be doing a lot of those events come 2026. Another season of the Kelly Clarkson Show is coming up, so I'll be working on that. And two of the really big things that I'm working on this year moving forward, all under that charismatic advantage umbrella, is Just Mike That, which is my hosting slash public speaking coaching program, where I'm teaching aspiring hosts or MCs or even DJs that want to better their mic skills, or corporate clients and managers that want to be better at giving presentations or giving keynote presentations, anything in that realm. So really coaching them and helping them to understand the power of their energy, their social energy, from their body language to public speaking to vocal variety, and the 4 Ps of that. So that coaching program is one of those big aspects of what I've been working on. And then the other aspect that I've been working on a lot more that's coming up is my keynote presentation called The Sound of Leadership, where I make these parallels between DJing and different trials that leaders and brands and industries face on the regular. So I'm teaching people a little bit more about the history of DJing and what DJing is. Because a lot of the time people are like, "Oh, you're a DJ," and they'll do this move. So giving them something more beyond that, and it really taps in and is interactive. And I bring people up to learn about DJing and to show what it is. And I really present them with these transformational insights about the power of alignment and their energy. And so a lot of this stuff you can find on my website, aaronsmalls.com. And I'm on socials pretty much everywhere at the Aaron Smalls. And under my company umbrella, it's at Curiously Talented.
Well, Aaron, I want to say thank you again for taking the time to talk with me today. It was really great to hear your story and have you share some insights, because I think a lot of times people who have such unique work experience and career trajectory don't always share their story. It's more like you see them on stage or you see them, you know, in the booth or wherever they may be,
Yeah,
and you don't always get the full story because 9 times out of 10, it's usually a pretty winding road to get there. So thanks again.
it absolutely is. And I've looked through some of the YouTube videos and I've listened to some of the podcasts. Have you ever unveiled why it's sumo?
So it's not that exciting of a story, but I've played rugby the last 16 years, and traditionally in the kind of the rugby setting, you get a nickname that you know either sticks or doesn't stick. So I
Yeah.
think I was walking up my freshman year of college. I was new to this team, and of course, I'm 5'6" on a good day, and back as a child, infant, I had broken my skull. So I had wore a scrum cap, which is almost it's like the guardian caps the NFL is wearing now. And so I showed up to practice like this, and I probably looked a little bit like a sumo wrestler. And so one of the guys on the team looks at me, he's like, "Hey, your name's Sumo now and forever on." And that was like 16, 17 years ago. And pretty much everyone calls me Sumo except maybe my mom, who still refuses. But
She just refused to
my
do
dad
it.
goes by Papa Sumo, so to let you know how that kind of seeped into my being. But it's just one of those nicknames, and one of those. It's just funny with rugby because when you introduce yourself, I've played on several different clubs as I moved over the country, and one way I learned how to make new friends was, "Hey, I play rugby. My name's Sumo," because there's a chance you could always get a different nickname, and I don't want multiple nicknames. I just kind of stick with that one, but that is the origin of Sumo.
Oh, that's great, man. That is exciting. You can't belittle it like that and say it's not that exciting. That's an exciting story.
I appreciate it, man. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
That was another fun episode of Into the Unknown. I truly appreciate you taking the time to listen. And if it provides you any value or entertainment, I would love if you shared it with others, liked, subscribed, and really just help the podcast grow. Again, tell a friend, tell a foe, just anyone who might enjoy hearing some stories of people's own journeys and what got them to where they are today. Till next time.